Hey, what is up, mortals? It is Robo Celestial here with a new video for you. Welcome to What If Deku Was a Dragon Slayer. I just wanted to greet you guys by just saying, sit back and relax, you're in for a treat. The crimson-haired woman then spoke in a stern tone. Watch your mouth, great boy. Minda sat in his chair, his whole body trembling with fear. Yes, ma'am. Sorry, ma'am. With that apology, Urza made the sword vanish. Thank you all for your concern, but my condition is unimportant. The truth is your fight is not over with. The whole class was shocked at this statement. Some of them hoped they would not have to face more villains, while other students were curious about their teacher's choice of wording. In a flat tone, Urza replied to the students' shock. The UA Sports Festival is coming. This comment made the majority of the class jump from their seats in excitement. Minda was the only one who remained fearful. Oh, this is really bad. I am going to die. Minda, don't you know how important the sports festival is? Minda responded in a panicked voice. Of course I do, stupid. I just don't want to get murdered. Important is putting it mildly. Students, ever since quirks became the norm, athletic competitions, like the Olympics, fell by the wayside, most being seen as pointless in a world with superpowers. For anyone in Japan who cares about competition, they are watching the UA Sports Festival. Pro heroes will also be watching and attending the festival. Perform well, and these agencies might recruit you. Urza let that information sink in before she continued. You have one chance a year, and 3 chances in your lifetime. I would strongly encourage you to not waste this opportunity. Gyro was bothered by something during this talk. Sensei, is it a good idea to hold such a public event after the USJ? That is a valid concern. The administration believes that holding the sport festival will show that UA is still strong and secure. Plus, this is an event that the whole country looks forward to every year. We cannot just cancel it. I guess you have a point. Of course, the security will be greater than in years past, so hopefully it will go off without a hitch. So, don't slack on your training. I expect you all to perform at your best. Good luck to you all. At the end of the day, Wendy slid the door open as the class prepared to leave. The petite girl was surprised to find a whole crowd of students standing outside the door. What is going on here? What are all of you doing here? Bakugo walked up and replied to the brunette's question. They are here checking out the competition. After all, we are the class that foiled a villain attack. Of course they are going to check us out. Bakugo walked up to the group without any fear. Move it, extras, and let me through. This statement caused the whole crowd to become enraged. Bakugo, you are making all of them mad at us. Apologize immediately. No, we are not here to make friends. None of these people matter. The only thing that matters is getting the top spot. The crowd parted as Bakugo calmly walked away. Kirishima responded to this scene with tears in his eyes. That exit was so manly. After a few declarations of war, the other Class 1A students were able to leave the room. Over the following weeks, the students upped their training. All of them knew that none of the other students were going to take it easy. While Bakugo had made an enemy out of everyone, his statement had lit a fire under his classmates. None of them wanted to be known as the weak link. Finally, the day of the festival arrived. Class 1A was waiting for the start of the events. Todoroki walked up to Midoriya. Midoriya, I think when it comes to power and capability, we are the strongest in this class. I plan to show that my strength is greater. Midoriya was shocked by the statement, but the Greenette responded with vigor. You can certainly try, Todoroki, but I don't plan on taking second place. I am aiming for the top. Kaminari responded to this exchange. Boy, there are a lot of declarations of war being made lately, but you two are not the only ones aiming for the gold. I plan on getting it too. Wendy then spoke up. That goes for the rest of us, Todoroki. None of us plan on holding back in this, so bring your A game. Todoroki looked at the faces of his classmates and saw the determination in their eyes. However, the bi-colored teen's face showed no emotion as he relied. Have it your way. My best is what you will get. Class 1A was told to make their way to the field, and they did so. Here we are, ladies and gentlemen. The UA Sports Festival has come again. Let's introduce those awesome first years. You know this crew as the class that stopped a villain attack. It is the indomitable Class 1A. President Mike then took it in turn to introduce the other first-year classes as they entered the field. All of the students stood probably on the stadium field. All of them were energized for the day ahead of them, but also a little nervous. After a very short pause for effect, Mike made another introduction. Now that you have met all of the students, I am pleased to introduce the referee for the first-year competition, Midnight. The R-rated hero walked onto the stage in the center of the field. Many of the boys wondered why she was wearing such a revealing costume as they waited for her to speak. Welcome everyone. Before we begin, we have the first year's pledge. This honor goes to Wendy Marvell. Wendy walked slowly up to the stage, cowering all the way. Mina Ashido saw this and asked Midoriya, who was standing in front of her. A question, Midoriya. Is Wendy okay? I mean, her whole body is shaking and her eyes are glossed over. I think she is nervous. I don't think she has spoken in front of a crowd this big before. Oh, that makes sense. I feel for her. Wendy got up on the stage and approached the microphone. Midnight lowered the microphone for her. The blue-haired girl stood in front of the device, her whole body trembling with nervous energy. She took a deep breath and started to speak. I just wanted to say. Wendy Marvel stood at the mic, her body shaking like a leaf. The girl tried desperately to calm herself, but that only made her more nervous. Then she looked out at the crowd of UA first-year students. Over to the right she caught sight of Izuku Midoriya. The boy locked eyes with the blue-haired girl. The determined and fierce look in the green-haired boy's eyes made all of the nervous energy in Wendy's body melt away. A surge of confidence flooded the tiny girl's body. She took a deep breath and delivered her speech. I just wanted to say that a lot has happened to us this year. Hero training has been way harder than we expected, but this has just made all of us more determined to become the greatest heroes we can be. The determined girl then looked back at the UA students and looked each of them in the eyes. Everyone, let's show the people here and the ones watching at home what UA students are made of. Let's go all out. Plus ultra. The students from the other courses exchanged looks with each other for several minutes. All of their faces then broke out in smiles and began cheering. Many of them commented that Wendy did not look impressive, but she was actually really fair. Her classmates were not surprised by the blue-haired girl's speech. They knew that underneath Wendy's friendly demeanor was the heart of a real fighter. All right. A moving pledge from Wendy Marvel of Class 1A. Now let's get this party started. Let's see the first event. Midnight snapped the whip she held in her right hand. When the whip cracked, the big screen flashed with words and images, and finally landed on the words obstacle course. Present Mike then explained, all right dudes and dudettes. This event is a race where you will face several surprises, so let's get to it. All of the students gathered around the exit to the field. As the horn sounded for the race to begin, the teens all rushed the doorway and many became stuck. That is when Todoroki made his move. The elemental teen unleashed a burst of ice. This froze many of his competitors in place. Todoroki then took off running toward the next obstacle. Unfortunately, Todoroki's freezing attack did not work as well as he thought. Most of his classmates saw the attack coming, so while the bicolored teen did get a head start on his competitors, most of the hero course students managed to dodge the ice wave. Midoriya saw the ice wave coming and channeled his fire power into his feet and shot into the air. The Dragon Slayer then flew out of the tunnel and landed outside the stadium. Wendy landed next to Midoriya. The Greenette looked back and saw that all of Class 1A had used their powers to dodge the Frosty Teen's assault. Midoriya gave Wendy a knowing nod. Without a word, the pigtailed girl returned the nod with a determined look on her face. Both Dragon Slayers took off in pursuit of their icy classmate. Todoroki dashed forward but was stopped by a large group of robots. So these are fake villains that the others had to face during the entrance exam. I can see why these things would cause them so much trouble. But I wish they had given me something more challenging. After all, my father is watching. Todoroki quickly glazed behind him. He saw that many of the hero course students had avoided his ice attack. This fact disappointed the serious teen. The bicolored teen released another large wave of ice that coated the robots in a layer of white and froze them in place. Todoroki used this momentary pause to dash ahead once again. Midoriya and Wendy were members of a small group of students that approached the frozen robots. The group thought they could use this to bypass the obstacle, but it was not to be. Todoroki had frozen the robots when they were off balance. This fact caused the robots, especially the big zero-pointers, to lose their balance and tumble to the ground. Midoriya noticed this at the last minute. Wendy, everyone look out. Fortunately, the blue-haired girl was standing next to Midoriya. The green teen pushed the small girl out of the way at the last minute. The collapsing robot giants buried Midoriya under a mountain of rubble. Uraraka and a few other Class 1A students saw the disaster. Oh my gosh. Was that Deku I saw? Wendy responded with a panicky voice. Yeah, he pushed me out of the way at the last minute. I hope he is okay. Suddenly, a large area of metallic rubble began to glow. Then a huge stream of fire erupted out of the rubbish heap and shot into the sky. The scene made the students and the onlookers gasp in surprise. The fire stream left a giant hole in the metal mound. Midoriya jumped out of the hole. The green teen's eyes were a blaze of fury. His whole aura radiated anger. Midoriya then yelled at the top of his lungs in a furious voice, that bicolored jerk, that could have killed me. What kind of person buries a guy in frozen metal? As the Dragon Slayer spoke, steam started coming out of his ears. He is going to pay for this. Get back here, Todoroki. Magic circles appeared under the teen's feet and he took off into the air on two streams of fire. In a surprised tone, Uraraka replied, Okay, I guess he is okay, Wendy answered her friend in an exacerbated tone. So it would seem. Both Wendy and Uraraka waded into the robot field. I have never seen Deku like that. He is usually so laid back and calm. I wonder what made him go off like that. I fear that is a personality trait he picked up from his master Natsu. With that explanation, the girl and the other fought off the robot and continued the race. Honey is a free browser add-on available on Google, Opera, Firefox, Safari. If it's a browser, it has Honey. Honey automatically saves you money when you check out on sites like Amazon, Papa John's, Kohl's. Wherever you shop, it's a good chance that Honey can save you money. All you have to do when you're checking out at these major sites, click that little orange button and it will scan the entire internet and find discount codes for you. It takes 2 clicks to install Honey. Now anytime you check out, Honey will scan the entire internet and find coupon codes for you. If there is a coupon code, they will find it. And if there's not a coupon code, you can rest assured that you are getting the best price possible, and there literally is not one available on the internet. If you install Honey right now, you can save like $50 to $100 on your shopping, doing nothing. There's literally no reason not to install Honey. It takes 2 clicks, 10 million people use it, 100,000 5-star reviews. Unless you hate money, you should install Honey. Up in the stands, Lucy and Natsu sat watching the spectacle. They had been given their seats by Nezu, so the two could watch their students in action. Lucy looked at her husband with a displeased look. You have been a terrible influence on that boy Natsu. Natsu started to sweat under his wife's menacing gaze. Well, you can't blame the kid for getting upset, Lucy. I mean, that ice guy did drop all that stuff on him. Who wouldn't get upset at that? True, but he did not have to react like that. As the couple argued, Urza came to sit by them. Well, it is nice to see you two getting along. Both Natsu and Lucy got shocked looks on their faces. Lucy spoke to her friend with a surprised tone. Urza, I did not know you were going to be here. The redhead was still covered in bandages, but she maintained her stoic expression. Why would I not be here? It is important to observe my students' performance, so I know where to focus their training going forward. I got to say, the idea of you as a teacher is terrifying. Urza delivered a powerful punch to Natsu's face for making that comment. Did you say something, Natsu? In a panicked voice, Natsu replied. No, nothing, ma'am. I am not surprised that Midoriya and Wendy are doing so well. But that Todoroki is unexpected. Why does that name sound familiar? Natsu thought for a minute. Oh, is he any relation to the number 2 hero, Endeavor? He is the youngest son of the man, but I get the feeling their relationship is not great. I could believe that. I have only had a few interactions with Endeavor, but I didn't like him at all. Plus his fire tasted terrible. Yuck, be that as it may. I'm curious to see how this event plays out. Back on the field, the students all approached the third obstacle, the fall. This collection of deep trenches would have completely blocked most progress if not for the wires splayed across the wide openings. Todoroki glided across the wires using his ice. Close behind the dual-colored teen was Midoriya and Bakugo. The fire user and the explosive teen used their powers to fly over the canyons. Wendy and Kamairi were also in close pursuit of the foreigners. Look at this. All of our leaders are from Class 1A. Is it any wonder that they stopped a villain attack? They are crazy strong, but let's see if they can hold on to their lead as they approach our 4th hurdle, the minefield. But don't worry, folks, these mines aren't strong enough to cause injury, just enough to make you wet your pants. Todoroki approached the minefield and realized that this stage was meant to hit the leaders the hardest. He gently walked across the field. The intelligent boy knew that if he rushed, he ran the risk of setting off multiple mines. As Todoroki picked his way through the field, Midoriya came flying onto the scene like a bat out of hell. Following close behind was Bakugo, using his explosion to propel himself through the area. The two boys closed in on the dual-element classmate. Midoriya still had a furious look on his face. The green teen screamed at the top of his lungs. You got some nerve, Todoroki. How dare you try to bury me in robot parts? Midoriya formed a fireball in his hand and prepared to launch it at Todoroki. Before he could, Bakugo grabbed Midoriya by the fist. Bakugo yelled at Midoriya in his usual harsh tone. If anyone is going to pound that icy hot bastard, it is going to be me, Deku. Let go of me, Kaken. This doesn't involve you. Midoriya then began to fight with Bakugo in midair. The two exchanged several blows. The two got so into their fight they didn't realize how close they were getting to Todoroki. Before the two enraged teens realized, they crashed full speed into Todoroki. All three went tumbling end over end. The three rolled forward in a heap, setting off all the mines they impacted. The three combative teens landed on the opposite side of the minefield. Bakugo was the first to express his displeasure at this event. Get off of me, you two. You are getting in my way. As the three teens tried to dislodge each other, with little success, Wendy and Kaminari zipped past the three. Kaminari spoke to the three as he passed. "You three better hurry up, or you'll get left behind." The zappy teen that ran on. This snappy comment gave the tangled teens the push to stop fighting and get loose. The 5-1A students entered the final stretch. Midoriya, Bakugo, and Todoroki caught up to Kaminari and Wendy using all of their power. The 5 students pulled out all of the stops as they neared the finish line. The final result was very close. But Kaminari got first place, Midoriya got second, Wendy got third, Todoroki came in fourth. Finally, Bakugo got 5th place and started to have a hissy fit because of it. Wendy, Midoriya, and Todoroki were upset at not coming in first, but they conducted themselves with more sportsmanship than their bombastic classmate. Present Mike then delivered the results in a groovy voice as the rest of the students entered the stadium. The DJ hero then made an announcement. "That was a great first heat, folks. But now we will be moving on to the second round after a short recess." With that proclamation, all of the students caught their breath and prepared mentally for what was to come. After the break passed, Midnight called everyone's attention. "It is time to select the next event." Midnight snapped her whip and the big screen behind her began to flash with several title cards. The screen landed on the title of Calvary Battle. Midnight then explained the event. "You will all form teams of 3 to 4 individuals. Each team will be given a point value based on the total value of the individual members. These values will be decided by how you finished in the obstacle course. The last place finisher will get 5 points and the values will increase by 5 points as your place ascends. But the first place will be a little different. The first place point value will be worth 10 million. As the R-rated said those 2 words, Kaminari got a panicked look on his face. Up in the stands, Natsu got a confused look on his face. The pink-haired man pointed at Kaminari and exclaimed, "That kid's power seems familiar to me. Where have I seen that power before?" Both Urza and Lucy released a breath in exasperation at their thick-headed friend. Lucy broke the news to her husband. "He has the same power as Laxus. Seriously, he kicked your butt enough. How could you forget that?" "Well, you're right. Do you think he is a dragon slayer also?" Lucy replied with a voice full of aggravation. "It is a good thing you are so cute, Natsu. Otherwise I would have not put up with you this long." "Oh, I'm cute, am I?" Natsu glanced at his wife with a cocky look in his eyes. Urza broke into the couple's heated exchange. "Could you two please control yourselves in public?" As for Natsu's previous question, "I think he might be, but I have not seen him use that power yet." Suddenly a familiar voice came from behind the 3 wizards. "Maybe he has not had a reason to do so yet. After all, he beat Natsu's kid with ease." The 3 friends turned toward the voice. Standing there was Laxus Drayar. "Long time no see. So what do you think of my student?" The tall blonde man walked down the steps and sat down behind Natsu. "Laxus, what are you doing here?" "Last I checked, Natsu, anyone who wanted to attend was allowed. Besides, I need to come and support my student." Urza nodded at the scar-faced man in approval. "It is nice to see you continuing to support Kaminari, even after he left your tutelage. That is a nice change to see in you, Laxus." "Well, it has been a long time. We have all changed in many ways. Except for Natsu. I see he is still the same." Both Lucy and Urza nodded in silent agreement. Urza then broke in and said, "Anyway, Kaminari has been doing well in the competition and in his hero studies. Good to hear. I am looking forward to seeing how he does." With that statement, the 4 powerful wizards returned their eyes to the field to see how poor Kaminari handled the next event. Meanwhile, All For One and Zeref were sitting in a dark warehouse. The only light in the place was from All For One's giant computer monitor. "Well, it looks like those young heroes are having fun. Wouldn't you agree, Zeref?" "Indeed, I commend them for foiling your plans. But they do need to be punished." "What have you done, Zeref?" "Let's just say that I decided to make my own cracks in Hero Society." All For One responded with a casual tone to his fellow Dark Lord. "Sounds interesting. I look forward to seeing the results. This should be fun." All of the winners of the obstacle course mingled among each other. Teams had begun to be formed. Midoriya had recruited Wendy, Uraraka, and a wild pink-haired girl named Mei Hatsune. Kaminari got pulled into Todoroki's team, along with Momo and Ida. Many other students also formed impressive teams to show off their skills in the second round. All was going well until the shadows showed up. The shadows appeared out of nowhere. At first they were only dark spots on the ground. All of the students were surprised by their sudden appearance. Fortunately, most of the participants for the second round were Hero Course students. This fact meant that they were wary of the strange shapes. Midoriya and Wendy looked at each other with a concerned look on their faces. The 2 wizards could sense that the shadows were emitting strong magic. Suddenly the shadows started to change shape and took on the form of giant skeletons. Each one stood nearly 15 feet tall, and they were 30 in number. The figures were vaguely human, but had large claws and fangs. Their bodies were all colored the same, Each one was pitch black. All of the students and the audience gasped collectively at this event. Midoriya was overcome by the strong and malevolent magic coming off of the dark figures. The green-haired boy turned to Wendy and asked her an urgent question. "What are those things, Wendy?" Wendy replied to her friend with a worried tone. "I have no idea, Midoriya, but I know they are bad news. The dark magic coming off them is sickening.